Welcome to You Got Moxie, the podcast about the how of change-making. I'm your host, Julie Ann Crommett, and joining us today is a man who truly embodies the spirit of betting on yourself. Al Madrigal is known for his roles on The Daily Show, Lopez vs. Lopez, and Night School, as well as a titan of the stand-up stage. But what you might not know is that Al spent years in a previous life firing over 1,000 people in the corporate world before he decided to fire his own boss and pursue comedy. Today, he's not just a performer, he's a pioneer as the co-founder of the All Things Comedy podcast network. We're diving into his journey of reclaiming agency in Hollywood, his try hard and be nice philosophy, and why he's choosing to be the driver of his own simulation. Welcome, Al, to You Got Moxie. We're so excited that you're here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And, you and I have run into each other over the years. We did that great panel at Comic-Con. So happy to be here.
It's amazing. And what a time that we're in. So it's nice to kind of keep coming together as friends and as community, we need it more than ever, is what it's feeling like day by day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We have each other. It's so weird. I was just saying that it's almost like, I've never been one to believe in any like simulation theory or anything like that. And I'm not sure if everyone knows what that is, but that theory that we're in some sort of game. But it does seem like whoever's playing the game just got called to dinner and told their mom or dad or whatever's calling them to, let me just kill these guys real quick. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'll just make this guy president, and then I'll turn up the weather, and that should do it. Yeah.
And it is what it feels like. I think it's a feeling that a lot of people are holding right now. And part of the themes that we explore here on the podcast are all around the how of change making, right? So, when was that moment you realized that change needed to happen? What did that mean for you? And then how did that start to show up and manifest in your work, in your life? And so for folks who aren't familiar with you, although I think a lot of people are, could you share a little bit about your story, just your own personal story, but then also interweave a little bit into there, that moment where you were like, oh shit, this has to be done differently, or I need to think about this differently. Change needs to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have very distinct moments in my life where I knew a little wake up call was due. So
Yep.
I grew up in San Francisco, California, and I was, I'm half Mexican, half Sicilian. Both parents super intense, native San Franciscans, and from, San Francisco families. My mom on the Sicilian side, maiden name is Tarantino, so it was fisherman family. And then my dad, little 5'7" Mexican Hulk, who was a Teamster who worked down at a place called West Coast Ship Chandlers. So if the U.S. Navy sold a ship to Peru or gave a ship to Peru, he went down, spoke Spanish, outfitted the entire thing. And he was just really a warehouse foreman and a truck driver that provided supplies to ships coming into the port of San Francisco. So my parents met at work. My mom bought our first house. They bought their first house because she won a Keno ticket in South Lake Tahoe. So she bought a house in San Francisco in the Sunset District for $20,000 in 1970.
What?
Yeah, that's how much things used to cost in 1970. And, two younger brothers, 3 boys in a bedroom, and 2-bedroom, 1-bath Victorian home. And we just kind of made it work. My mom has this amazing rags to riches story where when I was really little, cleaning houses, and then was a secretary at a staffing company, rose through the ranks of that staffing company. And while I was in high school, and she then bought it and quadrupled it in size. And so I shifted majors and became an HR major under the business communications at USF and University of San Francisco. And from high school through college, I worked at that staffing company. So, being the eldest son, I was supposed to take that over, and I primarily fired people. I was in charge of all the progressive discipline. So, at the age of 19, fired my first person. I totally remember who that was. It was a file clerk in our own office, and I went on to fire about 1,000 people. I was miserable. My friends always told me I was funny, and so I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I was actually the salutatorian of my high school. I gave a speech that just killed. So
Amazing.
My high school's worst student, C student, and those were gifted to me, but just article in the newspaper. If you saw the movie Rushmore, that was me. So I was a member of every club. We had keys. I had an article in the newspaper, and then ended up doing an impression of the principal. I now do a comedy scholarship back at that high school for the junior. That's the funniest. No grades attached, just funniest junior gets
awesome.
some of their tuition paid by me. And so I am miserable firing people, and I realize that if I don't do stand up by the time before I turn 30, I'm in bad shape. And so at 28 years old, I go out and I do my first set in San Francisco. It does not go great because I do it as a character. It goes okay. And then the second set, I realize what I need to do. So I write jokes and I go back and I kill the second time. And then comedians immediately take me under the wing, and I go and I park at the San Francisco Punchline and sort of come up through San Francisco. Eventually, there's like this NBA draft for young comedians. It's the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And so they do a New Faces showcase. And at New Faces in 2002, so it's like it quickly happens, I get pretty much cast in a sitcom where Cheech is my dad. It's called The Ortegas.
Oh my God. Yes. I remember this show.
Yeah. So I take my little family. I have a 1-year-old and my wife, and we go to LA. It gets picked up in some weird, situation where it was started on Fox and then got moved to NBC. Or no, it was started at NBC and got moved to Fox. So I've never done anything before, and I've got Jeff Zucker, the showrunner, and Gavin Pallone standing over my desk going, "You got this?" And I go, "Guys, don't worry about it. I got it. No problem." And so I'm hosting a show. The show is like, it's a remake of the Kumars at Number 42, which is a BBC show that's popular at the time, where it's an improvised talk show where the guests don't know what's happening. So I'm kind of running the whole thing from my desk. We make 7 episodes. It never airs.
Wow.
And so now I'm in LA. My parents are trying to get me to come back. I stay. I get cast in a sitcom the next year with David Schwimmer directing. I remember Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry and David Schwimmer all like hanging out with us on set. We had all the Friends people were our crew. It was crazy. And so that was with Allison Hannigan. It was called Home and Hardware. It was like a Pottery Barn catalog. Anyway, so eventually get the Daily Show. But while I'm down in LA, on sitcom after sitcom, and there's doing stand up on the road, I opened for Dave Chappelle, and I opened for Mitch Hedberg, and on a regular basis, and I really had the thought that I don't want to be the person that's tap dancing for these auditions. I want to be the guy that's hiring the showrunner. So I started All Things Comedy, a podcast network, in 2011. I had the idea of business in 2012, and really started with the idea that, I had a couple of friends pass away because comedians that didn't have health insurance. One of my very good friends from starting in San Francisco who saw me do that first set. And so really wanted to organize comedians. And that was a terrible idea. So
I'm sorry, I just envisioned the herding cats, maybe
yeah,
herding
yeah.
tigers.
Comedians
Yeah.
cannot be organized. You cannot help them. Everyone, they don't, because the idea is that we'd all own the company like United Artists that distributed our content. So comedians are prolific. They books, movies, TV shows. You look at the career of any big popular comic. You
Oh.
take Kevin Hart as a great example because he's been able to do this around himself with his AOL and Heartbeat, and owns a piece of the movie. So Heartbeat is a producer on every single movie he was in. I was in the movie Night School with him, so I got
Yeah.
to really watch him operate. And the idea was that we would own the company that we were paying commissions to.
Mm.
And so, why would you pay commissions to an outside source? Why would you not develop under your own umbrella?
Mm.
And so, otherwise, you're just making other people rich.
Right.
And so, why don't we all band together? It's $1 billion business. And that is still up and running and it's going great now. It was just really difficult to get there because, the comedians are all these lone wolves. So I start All Things Comedy, then I get the Daily Show. And that's when things really start to take off for stand up and my career. And luckily, I've been able to work, ever since. And I do all the things that comedians do. I'm back doing stand up. I actually just took 8 years off.
Wow, you hadn't done stand up in 8 years?
COVID kind of put a nail in it, but
Sure.
I remember I was on a TV show called The Fix with Jimmy Carr. It was a Netflix show, and I was partnered up with D.L. Hewley, who I think is one of the best people ever.
Oh, yeah. I've only heard amazing things.
He's fantastic. And so it would mention something about not seeing his kids grow up. And mine, I commuted back and forth for The Daily Show. My special that I came out in 2017 called Shrimpin' and Easy is kind of about that struggle of me missing stuff. And so I really made the conscious choice to put ego aside. It's kind of hard to, because I write as well. So I just finished an overall deal at CBS, and I'm acting in these sitcoms, and I'm writing on these shows. And then what am I going to do when I go home? Grab dinner and then go see you later. So I made a conscious choice to stay home, even though the kids didn't, want anything to do with me. If they needed help with the last minute art project when they're teenagers, I'm there.
Right.
And so really was present. Now the kids are out of the house. I'm an empty nester. And I did a gig. I got this private gig that I realized I did like an hour and a half in Detroit for a community group. It's a variety of services for people in need, a lot of homeless services. It's called My Side. It's a great charity. And I did this gig, and it was mostly like an African American, older female audience. And I always say if comedy was a video game, that would be like level 9. Like it was a tough gig, and I killed. And I was like, oh, maybe I should come back to this. I got my last child out of the house, who's a sophomore in college now. And I went back about a year ago, and now on March 12th, I'll tape an hour special with all the material I've built up over the last year. So that catches you up to date. But in answer to your question, I think a pivotal moment for me is realizing I didn't want to be this pawn in someone else's game and keep our game simulation theory thread alive here and theme.
Yes.
And I didn't want to be a pawn, tap dance. As an actor, just take the gigs as they came. I can write my own material. I can produce my own things. Currently, in Light a Candle, I shot a pilot in Mexico City in November of 2021 that in the fall, the right person finally saw, and we ended up writing 2 scripts. They bought it, and now we're being considered to get picked up. I've written the Al Madrigal show maybe 12, 13 times.
Amazing.
and gotten paid to do it.
Incredible. You've
but
written 13 versions of your life, essentially, and gotten
Well,
paid to do it.
it's not always been the Al Madrigal show, but something for me to star in,
Right,
whether it's
right.
in, a Brooklyn Nine-Nine style Accidentes law firm,
Sure.
or, I've written for myself quite a bit and then sold those shows and told like the family business story multiple times, different ways. And I've told, so I've done deals with CBS for CBS, ABC for ABC, Fox for Fox, CBS for ABC, you name
Yeah,
it, like
all of it. Yeah.
every possible combination I've sort of been through. And it's been great, in terms of like, it is a very difficult time in Hollywood, but I'm not feeling that at all, because I know I will never want for work. I will always make my own work. I'm about to, after we're done here, hopefully, if I can hustle, finish a horror movie I'm working on. Then I have to go right into another movie that I'm working on. And so I am just cranking out stuff for my agents to sell. And
Amazing.
I take a lot of responsibility for myself. I don't, I'm not waiting for the phone to ring at all. And then it does. And, I'm on Lopez versus Lopez for 3 years, and,
Right.
So that happens. But in the downtime, I'm sorry, you were worried about me chatting and
No, but this is what it's all about. Like, our vibe here is always like, this is like us having coffee, And so,
yeah.
Everything you're saying is really interesting because there are recurring themes in almost every episode that talk about this that we've done thus far. And one of the things that strikes me, so recently I did a fireside chat for the Television Academy around entrepreneurship. And what was really interesting is over 300 people showed up for this webinar. And I have never had the amount of people follow up with me after a talk back in recent memory that I had out of that conversation. And what's fascinating is most of the messages I got are, things are tough. I'm trying to figure out my path forward. I'm trying to think about how to use my skills differently. And I'm essentially becoming more entrepreneurial. And thank you for like talking about your own journey. And what I think is so amazing is so many of the themes you're hitting on of like realizing, oh, wait a minute, I can't wait for anybody's phone call. I have to keep making stuff. I have to keep betting on myself, basically.
Yeah,
are real things. Yeah.
There's some things that everyone should, that's taken me a long time to figure out.
Yep.
That, I have pretty severe ADD, and I really do think it's a superpower. I've talked about this a little bit, when I was in high school getting those C's, and I was kind of miserable. And same thing in college, I finally figured out all the extra work that I needed to do to make great grades happen. But my daughter got diagnosed when she was in high school, and they said, obviously, this comes from somebody. She was staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning to get a 4.3. And when she went and you pay for that sort of assessment, the doctor she went to said that she has never seen anyone with ADD so severe push through and fight it like she has. It's been amazing because she was in a friend group with other girls. She went to an all girls high school, and all of her friends got A's, so she was getting those A's. And so no matter, and they said most kids gave up. And that was me. Like I looked at something and there's no way I would remember what they were talking about, in class, or if I could just force myself to read, but it was just really a struggle, especially math. And so finally, when I got that diagnosed and under control, and then in terms of like, it helped me with, it's this river of 25,000 thoughts that will distract you and go to an extremely creative place. And I feel like I've got nonstop ideas. I've got so many things to write. And then it also takes you to an extremely negative place. So that's where it's like it gets, suicidal thoughts, all these negative thoughts. And what I've learned to do is that, and this is very important, you think about like your thoughts are the car, but you're the driver. And so I'm very good at any time that any negativity sort of creeps in, I just go, nope, like that, and swipe it away. And it really works. And then, so I really try to like, no negative self talk, no external blame at all, like ever. So it is what it is, man. And so I just don't like the state of Latinos in the film and TV industry, or whatever these outside forces are. They do not affect me one bit. I just don't. I am never ever going to be one to blame someone else. It
right.
happened, and I'm moving on. So I think like no negative self-talk, no external blame, and then a work ethic and positive attitude. You wake up and get some stuff done because now I'm still doing stand-up. I'm writing my ass off. I'm acting. I have all things comedy. I'm starting a golf brand called Smile Golf that I'm very excited about.
That's
Yes.
amazing. I didn't know you were a golfer.
I'm not the best golfer, but I do make time for myself, which is another thing. It's like I'm really into wellness. I love going on a walk. I love I know that if I want to read something and get something done, then I throw it into Speechify, or I throw it in and I throw a PDF in Speechify and I take it on a walk. So I'm getting a ton of exercise, and then I'm really trying to get decent sleep. Drinking is down, but not completely gone. And then I am just really trying to attack every single day in a positive way and get as much done as I possibly can because I love what I do. And that's the other thing is like loving what you do is so important. Now I have these kids that, I have a 23-year-old who's working in a job that I don't know if that's what he wants to do for the rest of his life, but I've been telling the kids forever since they were toddlers. Try hard and be nice. And I feel like if you do both of those things, because be nice to yourself, be nice to others. Like I recently finished working on a TV show that's very exciting for Disney Plus with Jon Favreau. And to be around his crew and him, I cannot say enough great things about that guy.
Yes.
Because he is possibly one of the kindest, coolest people I've ever been around. And then I think what I was telling my wife, it's always like he looks at someone and he thinks like, what's the kindest thing I can say to this person? And what is the kindest way I can say it? And even in any stressful moment on set, you would never know. Because, it's a really loving what you do. It just changes everything. And, I wrote a comic book also.
Yes, we talked about this at Comic-Con as well.
Yes. So writing that comic book, I wrote this in the back of the comic when the first issue came out because you wanted a letter from the author. And I think I said this on the panel. It's like we all have this little voice in our head, and that is saying, like, it was telling me, man, you got to do stand up. And if you're thinking about anything for an extended period of time, just start doing it. And then there really is something magical that happens from the doing. So, sit down, put a pen in your hand. I did it this morning without looking at my phone, and I need to do this more often. I went to my iPad, I opened up notes, and I sat for exactly a half hour and I just typed.
Amazing. And that's it.
And then, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the day that I'm not taking in. Yes, I could watch Aaron Parnas deliver breaking news every 15 minutes about what's happening in the Epstein files.
Yep.
Oh my God, do you want to hear my joke
Oh, please
for this morning?
regale us all. Yeah.
Oh no, this is what I wrote this morning. I go, can we talk about the positive takeaways from these Epstein files? Because I feel like all porn now, like whatever anyone else is into, whether it's weird, it's like is okay. Like you got a free pass. If your wife or spouse or your girlfriend ever catches you, or somebody ever your partner catches you looking at something, and you go, "Hey, could be way worse, huh?"
Could be way worse.
Yes, this is, and I just don't. I know it's a horrible thing to be joking about, but that's another thing why I'm a comic. I've tried mingling with. You should see all of the stuff that because sometimes you're surrounded by dads and people you don't
Right.
know through
Yeah, yeah.
kids sports.
Yeah, yeah.
I've said my wife looked at me. She's like, you can't talk to regular people like they're comedians because you say some horrible shit. I remember I got invited to this thing called the Summit at Powder Mountain, and the guy who was the first speaker, we're all in this like fucking hut in the snow in Salt Lake City. It's super cool. Had dinner with the guys who stopped apartheid. Speaking of South Africa, and I met my good friend to this day, Padram, who we were talking and talking and talking. He was a fan of the Daily Show, and from the Bay Area, so we had a ton in common. We're talking sports, and I go, "What do you do?" And he goes, I run the app store.
Oh.
Yeah, all of it. And so,
Oh, the whole store.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
the app
Yeah.
store. And so I'm at this big event with all these VCs and all these
Right,
super
right,
powerful people. I'm just supposed to do stand up for a little
right.
bit, and and I look at this guy and he's got this robe sweater jacket thing, and I go, and I look to the guy next to me, and I go, look at this fucking guy. I go, what's with this robe jacket? I go, that's your first choice? And he goes, oh, hi, that's my business partner. I'm like, oh, fuck. I gotta stop talking to people. I can't. Just because I immediately go to this like roast, or I did go to this roasties place, and you can't do that
Yeah.
around non-comics, So anyway,
Well, I'm married to somebody who's incredibly sarcastic, and so I say to him all the time, "We cannot give you a mic. You cannot have a mic. It's not going to happen." Yeah, because exactly for this reason, I'm like, most people don't know that you're kidding or joking, especially I think right now in this environment, particularly, like I'm like, people will not read your tone, man, at all.
Yeah. It's just I people that know me know like come for it. They're like, hey,
Right.
what's going on? What do you think of this? And they're ready for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't just go approaching strangers and start launching into bits. So, and that's why I'm better just hanging out with comedians. That's the other thing.
That's okay, but you're hanging out with us, By the way, you said two things that I think are really important as people are even thinking about their own journey. Like one is about that inside voice and critic, that inner critic. And something that I've started doing is I name him, he's a him, and I name him Carl. And I tell Carl to shut up and sit down. I'm like, Carl, sit down. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because it's very easy to if you get overwhelmed with everything that's going on, sometimes my wife is like, hey, I can't, you got to turn off, Rachel Maddow now. I can't.
Yep.
And it's overwhelming, everything that's going on. I think, we go back to what I told the kids, and you just need to try hard, be nice. We can't look away. We've got to get involved.
That's right.
And so that's the other thing I really have always tried to do, as much as I possibly can, as many shows as I could say yes to in terms of charitable, contributions and proceeds being donated to, National Day Laborers Institute or whatever it is, and posting. I'm going to bring back a sketch. I'm actually going to do a writing session for that today on my Instagram. Please follow me at Al Madrigal. But it's the Sanchez brothers, attorney at law. is going to be relaunching. I just did one sketch forever ago with this comedian Johnny Sanchez, and I'm back. So we're going to shoot on Tuesday a bunch of them. But
awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what we can be doing, Al. I think people, it's so overwhelming. People are like, oh my God, where do I start? Like there's so much going on. Like it's just this cavalcade, right? And like what I love, just to pull out kind of what you're saying, is you're like, okay, what can I do? Like where are my unique skills helpful? And be relentless about trying to help through that lens. Like knowing that, you're like, I'm not actually an attorney. I'm not going to be able to go out and fight cases, you know what I mean? And petition on behalf of immigrants. But what can I do to help immigrant communities, right? And you're like popping up in the places where it's like, that's how I can be helpful. You don't have to overthink it, is what I try to tell people as well.
Yeah. All my Daily Show bits that I did 10 years ago are evergreen because immigration was the thing, it's like then and kind of always will be until we figure a lot out in Congress and the Senate, and if they can get anything passed where there's a path to citizenship. But that's the other thing. It's like, I'm very well informed, but I know I kind of have a job to do and I don't let it overwhelm me. But how can I be helpful? I can make sketches. I tried doing straight to camera, informative commentary. Those got taken down by TikTok almost immediately. Whoa. And so I stopped with this latest TikTok change. I haven't logged in since, but they got flagged for nudity immediately. What? And then I tried to fight it. No nudity. I have a difficult time changing in a men's locker room. There's no nudity. And I don't know why, but I was able to, because whoever was on there was just flagging me for inappropriate content nonstop when I was just doing a commentary on immigration.
Wow.
So, it was brutal. So I was like, okay, that's not going to go out to a lot of people. Let me just, make some more sketches. I talk about it in my stand-up quite a bit. And, it's like the Daily Show way was always like silly, smart, and then there was a message, but there's also like a little bit of a solution in there as well. And so if I can, do that and stand up, I did a shit joke in my last special that I encourage people to listen. I'm very proud of it because it's really heartfelt, but it's a very sophisticated shit joke. It's about cilantro, and I go to the cilantro field because a guy really did tell me. He said, he goes, "Don't put any cilantro in there, bro," in the taco truck. And he goes, "Because you know what's going on with the cilantro." And the guy in the taco truck goes, "See, I know," and walks away, leaving me at the taco truck going, "Excuse me, what happened with cilantro?" And the guy tells me they're shitting in it to get back. In Mexico, if it's from Mexico, they're shitting in it to get back at Trump.
What?
And so, yes, this is
a learning for the episode, everybody.
Well, this is a very true story. I'm at a taco truck in Eagle Rock. The guy says those words. I immediately knew this was a bit, first of all. And I go, don't get me wrong, I'm all for a good Trump takedown, but a lot of collateral damage in the shit in the cilantro plan, don't you think? And I said that. And then when you get to writing it, I go, I don't think they're that organized, but maybe they are. And I went to the cilantro field. Now I'm the foreman in the cilantro field. And I'm saying what Trump has done, and it's going to stop now, and it's going to stop here. And he starts taking questions and suggestions from all the farm workers. And one of the farm workers says, I think we should start a Kickstarter because money and power and politics all goes together. And we're going to start our own super PAC to spread positive awareness about Latinos in the United States. And the foreman says, that's a great idea. But you guys got to realize that none of us have ever seen a computer. That's why we're going to the U.S. in the first place. All right, next. And then this other guy says, let's write letters. And it gets really sad. And I know from writing on the show, I'm dying up here. Richard Pryor, and this is really an attempt by me. I bring, I make it very emotional and heartfelt. And so the second guy goes, maybe we can write letters to the American people to get them to empathize with our situation. So grave and so dire that we'd send our kids by themselves to another country. I go, you wouldn't even, he says, you wouldn't even send your kids to the bus. But we're sending my, and then he starts to get really upset, the guy, Cleto, and he says, I haven't seen my daughter in 3 years. And I'm telling you, in a room full of people in the Comedy Store in the main room, zero, just screeching halt. And I sit in it, and then the foreman goes, holy shit. He goes, that was emotional and heartfelt. And if the Monsanto pesticides that they put in the cilantro hadn't destroyed my deer ducks, I might have cried. But who knows? So now I got him back. And then I end up with Crazy Eddie who shits in the cilantro. So it's like in that bit of a shit joke, I am able to parse out so much and make it funny and thoughtful at the same time. So that's like the high watermark for me with all of this stand-up, which I picked the worst style for stand-up comedy. I'm a long-form storyteller. So that bit by itself is 9 minutes. And you usually get a 15-minute set. So I can do that and then a couple other things. And so that's why I like seeing the full hour come together. If anyone's in Arizona, I'm shooting on March 12th at the Tempe Improv, the full hour. But then I'm in San Diego practicing it at the La Jolla Comedy Store. And then I'm in LA running it a bunch. So our friend Rafa Augustin is texting me now saying he just bought tickets to the March 4th show at the Ice House. So yeah, I'd love people to come out and see me do stand-up because that's how I got into all of this. And that's where, my true love is. I can control everything. And I can say whatever I want to say. And I can make it happen too. When you're writing scripts, you just have to sort of give it to the universe and decision makers, and hopefully you're hitting that small moving target at the network at the perfect time. Right. But again, no external blame and keeping your head up.
100%. And not waiting for the phone call. I think that,
No.
A lot of folks who are listening and who listen to our podcast, often wondering what we can do. And one thing that's actually very straightforward that folks can do out of this episode is go and get a ticket if they're in any of those markets to your show.
Oh, yeah.
And support stand-up comics. That's real. Yeah.
Sure. And also, we all have phones. You can make it. You can shoot it. I think we're going to shoot on Tuesday these sketches on a couple iPhones. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And you could go straight to camera. I do maintain that everybody's an influencer now.
Agreed.
No matter what your business is. I was joking around that my dry cleaner was like, this is what it's like for a second-generation Korean American to take over their family's dry cleaning business. Yep. I'm like, I just want my shirts. I just, yeah.
So, want my shirts. But yeah. I think this comes back to something we say all the time, and I really believe, which everybody has at least one great story to tell, at least one. And part of it is just making space for people to also hear each other and tell each other their stories. It's the most basic of human interaction, which is why live performance specifically and, the idea of being in physical space with each other actually matters so much right now. I can't say that enough. We started as humans around a fire, essentially, telling stories to each other.
Absolutely.
That's how it all began. And my feeling is, what you're feeling, I think, so much in my mind from being in front of folks and being in stand-up, again, is that sense of being in community, in space together, and the exchange that happens there. You can't mimic that in almost any other way. And how much, because of COVID in many ways, but also I think because of everything going on, we're all feeling this really deep sense of longing for connection and for community. And I think comedy sits at the heart of where we can laugh
Yes,
together.
absolutely. But that's just also, and again, that's just what I felt called to do. And I am this serial entrepreneur watching my mom run this business.
That's right.
And so I think I love collaboration. I love sharing ideas. People always get caught up in the ownership of it all and the proprietary, like it's like this mine, and stop. Just make it, and then you make the next one, and then next one, and the next one, and then you can just get something done and do whatever it takes to get it done.
That's right.
And that ADD high school C student that had to navigate his way around high school. That's why most CEOs are C students, because I had to get really good at talking to people, and I had to really get really good at finding all the loopholes and to just sneak my way around and make it happen. And
Yes.
I am not one to get deterred either. Like, there is no stopping this. So it's just like, there's a great book, and if people haven't read it, called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And he does, Stephen Pressfield has a bunch of other books called Do the Work, Get It Done. They're all the same. Yeah. But resistance starts to happen. Like, there's a million excuses and life gets in the way. And it's like, if to bring it all full circle to where we started, if this is a game, how are you playing? And, if we are going to be judged at the end of this, what did you do? Did you curl up in a ball, or did you, get up out of bed in the morning, splash some water in your face and go for it? Like, I think we all need to go for it, because otherwise you're going to be left at the end of whatever this life is wondering, if you did enough. And that's not going to be me. I'm leaving it all on the table for sure.
That's 100%. And I actually can't think of a better way to end our conversation, because it's about leaving it all on the field, about leaving it all on the table, and that momentum actually matters. Like, I try to always explain to people, like, the momentum itself is actually a gift. Like, and it doesn't mean that you see the end yet, but that feeling of the going is actually the thing to keep leaning into, even if it doesn't feel totally clear or like you have all the answers. And that can sometimes feel like the scariest thing, but I actually also think it's what this time calls us to do, which is keep moving and keep making and keep pushing. Because when we feel resistance, it actually means that something is working. Iron sharpens iron. The idea that resistance actually is what builds to something better. And instead of stepping away from it, lean into it, because it actually means that you're doing something right. And then the question is just navigating it from there. Yeah.
And you can manage to be super cool to everyone you encounter. And you can also manage to be just like, life is this series of paths that present themselves. And you got to choose whether or not to walk down those paths, and then the attitude you have walking down it. So it's just, again, you could play it safe and just do it. But a lot of people are in jobs right now that they feel safe in, and that's fine, and maybe, you're doing a bunch of other stuff. But, if you got that nagging voice, take that chance and just, make it
do it. That's right. Yeah. Well, Al, we can't thank you enough for joining us today on You Got Moxie, and for sharing a little bit about your own Moxie, and also just how you think about your own career, the changes going on, and also the change in yourself. So thank you for sharing with us and just being a part of the Moxie community.
I can't wait to see you out there again. Later. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to our conversation with Al Madrigal. To dive deeper into the world of creator-owned media, visit allthingscomedy.com to explore their full network of shows. You can also find Al's upcoming tour schedule and purchase tickets for his latest performances at almadrigal.com. Continue to follow us and listen to your favorite episodes at collectivemoxie.com. That's collectivemoxie.com. We're excited to see you next time. Take care.